the Chase Thomas Podcast, for people who have nothing but time to kill.
Consistent as I thought he would be, which was disappointing because I thought he could really be a pretty high volume sack guy for an inside guy. And they didn't have a bad year. I don't want to suggest that they did, but the expectation for them was to be a dominating force. And I don't know that they dominated the way a lot of us thought they would dominate throughout the season. And I don't think they played their best football late in the year.
Which offensive player the Vols need to become a star in 2025? Are you most confident right now here on January 30th, Will, in 25, Brent?
That needs to be – who needs to become a star?
Like who among the group on offense?
It's got to be a wide receiver.
Who is there one who you are most confident on January 30th?
I mean, I'm excited about Braylon Staley because I like him in the slot. I think he can do things in the slot that can be pretty fun to watch potentially. And we know the slot position can get a lot of balls thrown their way in this offense. So I'm very fascinated and very interested to see Braylon Staley. I like his competitive makeup. I think Mike Matthews has all the talent in the world. It's about Mike Matthews' sense of urgency all the time. And then are they really going to do anything with Boo Carter? I mean, I don't know. They need somebody that they can throw the ball to 5 yards, and 5 yards can become 30 yards. 5 yards can become, I mean, they need, if teams are not going to give you the over-the-top stuff to where the Jalen Hyatt plays where a guy's, 10 yards behind everybody, then you need a Velus Jones type guy. You need a guy that you can throw the ball to 5 yards downfield, and next thing you know, you look up, he's gained 15 yards. They didn't have enough yards after contact. They didn't have enough broken tackles. They didn't have enough make a guy miss and it turns a 5-yard hitch or it turns a 5-yard slant into a 20-yard gain. A shallow cross turns into a big gain, that type of thing. It felt like they kind of got whatever they threw the ball. The ball went 12 yards in the air, they got 12 yards. If it went 5 yards in the air, they got 5 yards. That's more what this team felt like this past year. So I think they need a guy out there who that Nico can throw the ball to and can make something happen. Now, maybe that's a back out of the backfield. I don't know. That's not what they've done in this offense. I don't know what the counter to finding that is, but they've got to find a space guy who can turn 5 into 15. They didn't have enough of that last year.
I mean, maybe it's the one who's kind of forgotten that I thought was just he just seemed like an obvious portal guy, and he's back, is Ethan Davis, where super talented kid where he's kind of like that hybrid type where you're not sure he's receiver, you're not sure he's tight end, like that Chase Claypool type deal where you're like, I don't know what you are, but I do know like you're someone who theoretically should be good in the red zone. You're theoretically somebody who could be a problem over the middle of the field. That could be a mismatch, kind of the way Georgia uses Oscar Delp or guys like that. Like there is a lot of theoretical intrigue to Ethan Davis. And I just kind of wonder if it's just like, I understand the blocking aspect and being more physical, but like, is he someone you have to find a way to utilize him more because he is such an intriguing mismatch on the outside in the slot? Like, is he an option in the slot that could give teams fits? Because they're like, I don't know what to do with this guy.
Well, here's a big picture thing, not specific to Ethan, but talking about him, you're talking about him kind of brings this to mind for me a little bit. They're not going as fast as they've gone in the past. Okay. And part of that is some of the rule changes that prevent some of that. The faking of injuries kind of prevents some of that. If you go out of bounds, within the box on your sideline, which is a 40-yard box, whether you sub or not, you can't go fast. So there's some rules in place that are trying to slow teams down. I think it slowed down Tennessee a little bit. Some of it's by Tennessee's choice that they've slowed down. Some of it's their lack of execution on early downs prevents them from going fast. But I say all that for this. If you're not going fast and you're going to sub, do you package more plays for personnel than what you've done in the past? Because what you've done in the past is this is what we run regardless of what personnel is on the field. Okay, we're just going to go because we're going so fast. But now if that's the case, do you say, well, we've got some things we want to get to with this personnel grouping. We're not going fast, so we're going to play this personnel group. Okay, so we've got some package plays for an Ethan Davis that doesn't force him to do something that he's not equipped to do if he's not a blocker. I mean, I think Ethan Davis has to be much more consistent, period.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're going to have to play, if you're going to play freshman receivers, they probably can't handle everything. So how do you package it different? If you're going to play Boo Carter on offense, you're not going to give Boo Carter the whole playbook, and he's going to have every route adjustment, sight adjustment out there. You're probably going to say, hey, these are the 4 or 5 plays we're going to run for you. Okay. And so you're going to package stuff. They haven't really done that under Josh Heupel because of the tempo. But if you're not playing at tempo, do you do that? And does that give you a little more versatility in use of your personnel and use of your play calling as well? I don't know. That's an off-season discussion, an off-season topic for Josh Heupel and his offensive staff as they try to look at ways to counter what defenses are doing to them and counter the ways that their offense is being slowed down right now.
And they have to be careful with Boo Carter, I think, because star is an extremely important position on this defense. And he got better as season went on. And Jordan Thomas, we'll see where he's at, but Christian Harrison's gone. I don't know. Is that like
they got to find a star?
Yeah,
they have to find a backup star to Boo Carter. 100%.
And if you're going to play him both ways a little bit, like you absolutely, because he's playing more snaps and more snaps. More opportunity to get injured. Like and he's returning punts. Like Boo Carter is going to be on the field a lot. And
well, he wants to be Travis Hunter.
That's great.
That's the way he wants to play, and he's going to point to that. And listen, do you want to keep him around? And you're probably going to have to figure out some ways to play him, offensively and everything like that. To your point, though, yes, you've got to have some depth around him. You've got to have depth behind him. Because no offense to Travis Hunter, who I think is a terrific player, playing at corner, he didn't play downhill and run support. Mm-hmm. He didn't play as physical defensively as Boo Carter plays defensively, which probably reduces his injury factor a little bit. Mm-hmm. They also, how they threw him the ball, was a lot of vertical stuff, and he was terrific at it. But they didn't throw a lot of underneath tunnels where he could get blown up by a linebacker. Mm-hmm. They were kind of protective a little bit of Travis Hunter from some of the physicality when playing that many snaps. Again, I think he's a terrific player. I'm not saying he couldn't handle that, but if you're going to play a guy 150 snaps a game, you got to be mindful of it. Mm-hmm. Okay. At the same time, too, you got to be more dynamic.
Yeah.
So, it's the same thing with running Nico, right? It's the same thing. Like, well, we don't want him to get hurt. Okay. Well, legs are a part of this offense at the quarterback position. Nico's a better quarterback when he's using his legs. Okay. I think he's more effective. He's a better player. So you're going to have to call some stuff for him. Now, he's going to have to learn to slide, don't take hits, get down and protect yourself better. But you can't take that element away to protect him because it limits some of your offense. The same way I think you have to be careful not to be overprotective for Boo Carter because one, you're looking for somebody to make a play on offense for you.
Yeah.
He's really good with the ball in his hand in space. We've seen that. So I'm not saying he plays 40 snaps of offense in any given game, but if you're going to play him out there, you're going to just roll the dice, take a risk and see what happens. That's the game. Now, you better have a backup to him. You better have an answer. You also better have an answer if he comes to you in the swamp and it's 112 degrees outside and you've played him a bunch of snaps and he's gassed and can't go. So you got to find a backup nickel. I don't know who that is right now. I don't know where Jordan Thomas is. I'm not optimistic. He's not going to go through spring. I don't know where he's going to be at the start of the season. That was a significant injury he suffered a year ago. I don't know that he's back within a year. So where are you at with the star position? Who are your options there?
Caleb Beasley, maybe?
I don't know. Does Beasley play there? That's a great question. I think when you talk about questions you have to find answers to in the spring, I think you got to find a fourth corner or third corner, okay, who may eventually become your fourth corner when McCoy's back, whenever that happens. But you got to find another corner. You got to find a second star position. Yeah. You got to get more confident in a guy like John Slaughter, some people at the safety spot in the back end of that secondary. That's just – you have to answer some of those questions this spring, or at least really get a firm grip on what direction you're going with an answer for those positions this spring.
I think there's a lot of reason for optimism there. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if one of the freshmen settles in as a nickel guy, whether it's Dylan Lewis, Tyler Redmond, or Trey Poteet, one of those guys, as a third corner. That wouldn't surprise me. I think where they're at right now with Ricky Gibson and company, like, they play a bunch of snaps. That's the other part of it. Is like Willie Martinez, if Jermon's not ready to go right away, guess what? McMurray and Ricky Gibson are going to play like 70 snaps. Mm-hmm. And like, I don't think that's as pressing to me as it might be to some folks, because I'm just like, y'all got to look at the snap count, because those two are going to play an absolute insane amount of snaps. Like, Willie does not rotate much there. I will say on the back end, like, I think you have an opportunity to upgrade Edrees Farooq potentially over Will Brooks. I think that's a possibility. And then at star, we'll see if Caleb Beasley is there, but I think they do 100% have. I think it's more pressing than corner or safety is finding the backup to Boo, because he's just going to. The writing is on the wall that he's going to have to do. He's going to be involved a whole lot more in 2025. That you've got to have some precautions in place.
Yeah, I think Farooq's a big factor in this thing too. Mm-hmm. I mean, I really do. I think he's a guy that they really need him. He needs to continue to take a step, but I think they love everything about him. So I think this is a guy that I think he will be a guy you hear a lot about as spring winds down, about where they think they are with him, because I think they're
nicely done, nephew. The Chase Thomas podcast. Hell yeah.